fired up for you. This is such a cool story right now. When you hear the term bounty hunter, there's a pretty good chance two guys come to mind. Boba Fett from Star Wars and Dog the Bounty Hunter from reality TV. But there's a little more substance to the job than is portrayed in the movies and on TV.
Mike Darkside Beakley is a former Tacoma police officer turned bounty hunter. He and his partner Pam Free chronicle their adventures in this new book, Betrayal, Murder, and Greed, the true story of a bounty hunter and bail bond agent. Mike and Pam join us live this morning to talk about this. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you for having us.
It's great to have you guys on the show. So I want to go back to the beginning and ask Pam, where did this idea for this story come from, and where did Mike come in?
Well, I had been collecting true stories from my clients for 20 years. I think it's fascinating what life does to people. And I submitted it to publishers, and the last one, New Horizon Press, said, we want to hear from your bounty hunter as well. And that's where I approached Mike and asked him to write it with me, and he did. Did a good job.
So, Mike, you're the guy that tracks down the bad guys, right?
Yes, I'm out there chasing them around.
So take it from there. I mean, tell us a little bit more about what people are going to get in this book.
Well, they're just gonna see how the system works, how the bail bond industry works. A lot of people have no clue on how that works, and in fact, a lot of people, until Dog did come along, didn't even believe bounty hunters existed. So he's brought that to the forefront, and some pretty interesting stuff goes on.
I was going to ask you, how did you become a bounty hunter after being a police officer? How did that happen?
Well, it was a fluke. I retired. I got shot on the police department. Retired from an injury and a gunshot wound, and I was only 38 years old, bored. Nothing else to do, and I ran across a guy that was a very close personal friend of a longtime bail bond agent in town, and they didn't have a bounty hunter. Asked if I might be interested, went down and talked to him, and wasn't sure if I wanted to do this or not. Seemed a little on the wrong side of the law, and then I met Pam right away. She was in charge of recoveries then, fugitives. Met with her, and she told me what it was all about, and I thought, well, we'll give it a shot.
Where did the name Darkside come from?
Darkside actually... Probably not from where you think. It actually came after I retired in the police department. I grew my hair a little longer, started getting some tattoos. Was out bounty hunting, riding around town on my Harley Davidson, and a good friend of mine from the police department, old partner Jim Young, gives me a call and says, Beak, you're not going to believe it. A lot of the young guys that don't know you that well are calling me up and saying, man, we saw Mike out there. He's gone to the dark side. He's flipped on us. So actually the police department gave me that name. So
there's a perception that bounty hunters and bail bonds people don't get along. Is that true, or is it?
We haven't had any problem. We've been working together for 20 years.
Yeah.
Actually, it depends on the company you work for.
Okay, and I'm sorry, I got the question wrong. Bounty hunters and police officers, there's a perception that they don't get along. Is that true?
We tried. The police officers, it's, you know, when I first got in this business, there was some pretty foul bounty hunters running around. No licensing, no register, nothing like that, no regulation. Half of them were criminals and felons putting other criminals in jail, so the police had a good reason not to like us.
We're not trying to sensationalize this at all, but you have been in some risky situations. You've been shot at, you've been dealt with some terrible criminals. The danger of your job is amazing. And do you think about that?
Oh, you have to think about it. As bounty hunters, you're out there. You don't have the luxury of having a 4 or 5 man team to go in a house and arrest somebody. You don't have radios to call backup. You're alone. It's you and one other guy.
What's the best part, worst part about your job?
Best part, worst part. Best part of my job, my side of it, not her side of my side of it, is customer relations. Most businesses, customer's always right, and mine on the job, they're never right.
Yeah.
I'm right.
So, Pam, take us through the process. I've always driven by the bail bonds offices. How does that work when somebody gets arrested and you guys get a call from a family member?
Basically, that's what happens. Either the family calls us or the inmate calls us, collect from the jail. We find out what they're in jail for, what their bail and charges are, and in my company, they need to have a co-signer. Someone who's going to vouch for them and make sure they go to court for me, since I don't know them personally. Usually mom and dad is a good one. And then we bail them and we monitor them to make certain they go to court.
So what was it like putting all of these stories and all of your experiences into this book? It was 10 years in the making.
Actually 20.
20 years.
Wow.
20 years in the making.
So give us an example of one of the cool stories that you have in here that said, I got to put that in the book.
Well, one of the cool stories, I think, was someone that I dated for a while. His name was Kurt, and he later became the mastermind behind 2 brutal murders.
Oh.
So that was, you know, but there's a lot of clients in there. There's 13-year-old Becky, who was accused of killing her own mother, and I talk about that story. So there's just sensational stuff in there.
Wow, that's interesting. So when you're going to get a bad guy, I mean, every time is your like heart up in your throat, or what's going through your mind?
You know, it's funny. We'll be heading there a block or two away from the house. You start getting a little nervous, but as soon as that door opens and your feet hit the ground, all that's gone. You forget about it. You're just working. You're just going at it. So.
How much longer do you think you'll be at this?
It's been a long career. It's been 35 years. I'm winding it down. Pam's winding the business down about one more year. I just renewed for one more year, and then I've got me a little construction company going on and got licensed, and I'm out of here. I'm done.
Well, you guys, it looks like a great read. Thank you so much for coming in to talk about the book. The book is called Betrayal, Murder, and Greed. Pam Free and Mike Darkside Beakley. It's on sale now on the web. It's going to go in stores in January. We've got 3 signed copies that these guys have given us. Thanks for that. To win them, just go to Q13Fox.com, click the Win It Now button. So I'm glad I don't have that job.
No.
Keep up the good work, you guys.
Yeah, thank you guys.